Everyone, Luke here. Hope you're doing well. And today I'm going to talk about Hebrew. Kind of. Okay. So this video is actually about a kind of a new religion that I think is going to come to planet Earth. And it's kind of starting a little bit. And it's going to talk about how it works, some of its principles, and stuff like that. Okay? So, my guidance is actually that this is sort of a universal religion, and it's actually just called Hebrew. For simplicity's sake, we probably should be calling it something like the New Hebrew Religion, or something like that. But for now, I will just call it Hebrew, because that seems to be what it is called. Okay? So, Hebrew. What are some of the principles? Okay, so let's kind of backtrack a little bit. So, I'm feeling that, and from my studies and talking to people and talking to other people that have researched other things, is that Jesus didn't actually come to Earth to establish Christianity. Originally, he actually came back to restore the ancient Jewish traditions and the sort of methodology of Hebrew. Okay? So, you may disagree or agree with that, okay? But there's a lot of interesting things that point to that, okay? So, let's talk about the basic sort of tenets of this sort of religion. Okay, so the first thing you have to realize is that no one religion isn't truth. Okay, so the basic tenet of this religion will basically just be the pushing down exercise, okay? Now, this is a form of meditation. It's much more simple than other meditations. Look at my terrible handwriting. Oh, lovely, lovely Luke handwriting. Anyways, as you can see, I do all my work on the computer. I should probably practice, shouldn't I? But anyways, so when you do the pushing down exercise, it's important to realize that you're bringing truth into your body. And this is a much more simple form of people realizing truth if they're able to bring the truth right into their bodies than sort of finding it externally. Okay? Because one thing you have to realize is that religion is not truth. Okay? Let me repeat that. Religion is not truth. Now, it's important to realize that the sort of social construct that they teach in the schools in the Western societies today is not true, and that they teach you relative morality, okay? Moral relativism is a lie. Also, cultural relativism is a lie. Some cultures are superior to others, okay? Hebrew culture, Jewish culture, and Christian culture are superior forms of culture compared to other cultures, okay? Now, they're not superior in every aspect, but if you look at the whole picture, they are superior, okay? That's really not up for debate. That's just the truth, okay? Now, you can make all these different arguments. Christians have killed so many people compared to, you forget about the Crusades and whatever, okay? I'm talking about the actual construct of the religion itself, okay? And how it's, what it teaches, things like that, okay? So, if we understand that, but we have to also understand on the flip side that there's truth in other religions. There's truth in sort of Eastern thought too, like we talk about yin and yang on this channel. Okay, so I talk about that. I talk about meditation. A lot of Christians are very wary of meditation, okay? And as they should be, because a lot of meditations actually harm you, okay? So that's important to note. It's like, you have to realize that not only are religions not the complete truth, but even the Bible. Okay, that's very, very important. And this will offend many Christians, okay? The Bible doesn't contain all the truth, okay? Let me give you an example. So, if you eat tuna today, I will see mercury on your hair test and toxic levels. Therefore, I tell people not to eat tuna or any large fish or any seafood, okay? Nowhere in the Bible does it say that you shouldn't eat tuna. It says you shouldn't eat, like kosher laws, for example, say you shouldn't eat certain types of seafood. But it says fish are okay, okay? Not all fish are okay. Tuna's not okay, even though it's okay in the Bible. Therefore, if I can see this empirically and use my logical mind, I can see that people should eat tuna, and I see that nowhere in the Bible does it say you shouldn't eat tuna. Therefore, logically, right, you follow me here? The Bible doesn't contain all the truth. That should be obvious if your brain is working correctly, okay? So, you can't find all the truth in the Bible, okay? You can't try and find all the truth in any source. You can't find all the truth in any religion, okay? The only way you can actually discover more truth is, one, by searching it, okay, and, you know, trying to find it every day, and then, you know, doing the pushing down exercise, which is part of this sort of, part of searching for it every day. When you do the pushing down exercise, and you bring the Holy Spirit directly into your body every day, and you heal yourself slowly over time, you will realize the truth more and more about things, okay? You will begin to see what is the truth and what is not. Just by your simple intuition, by your simple feeling, you will actually feel the truth. I made a video talking about the truth as a frequency. Like I said, as you become the frequency of truth, you will begin to understand the truth more. Okay, it's that simple. And so there's many sort of practices in different religions that are a waste of time. Okay, now studying the Bible is good. There's a lot of truth in the Bible. The Bible is not what a lot of people say it is, about this sort of women-hating, archaic, symbolic sort of thing. The Bible is much, much deeper than that. Okay, and it's much more real, and it will help you much more than you realize. Okay, so I'm not here to criticize the Bible. In fact, you should be reading the Bible, because it will help in your development. Okay, you just can't go to the Bible for all your truth today, especially when it comes to, your diet and things like that. Okay, but like I said, doing the pushing down exercise helps you tap into that, helps tap into that directly. Okay, and like I was going back to what I was saying, is that a lot of things, these sort of rituals that we have in religions, don't help very much today. Okay, some of them used to help more, but even the practice of going to church, isn't exactly what is needed today. Going to church specifically doesn't necessarily help your development. What if you're in a church full of toxic people? What if your church is teaching you lies? Okay. Now, there is discipline sometimes that they teach you, like the act of going to church every Saturday or Sunday is helpful, right? Reading the Bible, doing Bible studies, these things can help, right? But a lot of the certain practices, even some of the prayers that some religions use, are not very helpful, okay? So we need to understand that, and we need to understand that the most powerful thing that you could actually do in a church, the best thing you could actually really do at church, is if the pastor or leader just taught everyone how to do the pushing down exercise, and then everyone just did it together for like 30 minutes, and then maybe you had like a spiritual talk about life, or like you went and you read Bible verses or something like that. But you should actually be doing this. The best use of church is actually if you just all did the pushing down exercise together and all bring in truth into your bodies together and heal together. That's really what church should be about. And that's one of the powers of this exercise, is that it's simple, and it's a simple technique that can be the basis of the foundation. This will be the foundation of the new religion. Okay, so let's talk about some other tenets. So the 7 system is pretty important. Okay, so Dustin, my buddy Dustin, who we did a podcast with, you can check it out. I'll put the link here. You can check out the podcast with Dustin James. He talks about how the number 7 is very important on planet Earth. My guidance is actually the number 7 is important in the whole universe. And it's actually, so this is a universal religion, and so therefore the 7 system is very important. Okay, so everything works in cycles of 7. Okay, there's 7 days in a week. There's 28 days in a month, or there's 28 days in a women's menstrual cycle, which is 7 times 4. It's just 4 patterns of the repeating 7. Okay. This shows up time and time and time again. Okay, so the 7 system is very important. And so the most important part of this, I would say, in the Hebrew religion, in this new religion, is that God rests on the Sabbath, the 7th day. Okay, and so in this new religion, it actually says this in the Bible. So many of the Christian sects, it almost sounds like I said sects, changed it. But the Sabbath, the holy day, the day that God rests, is actually Saturday. Okay, so my understanding is that the Catholics, they're coming from the standpoint that Jesus was resurrected on a Sunday, and therefore the day of rest is Sunday. But my guidance is that they were tricked. They were lied to. That never actually happened if you read the Bible. Nowhere does Jesus say, oh, I was resurrected on Sunday, therefore Sunday should be this Sabbath. Actually, my guidance is that he was resurrected on Sunday because Sunday is the beginning of the new week. And so he was resurrected on a Sunday because it's like spring. It's like the new day. It's the start of the new start of the 7 cycle. And so when he was resurrected, it's like, that's, the meaning behind it. It's like the flower blooming in spring, or like it's the start of the new cycle. You know what I mean? And Sabbath, Saturday is actually the day that God rests. So now some people take this to the extreme. For example, I was born and raised a Seventh-day Adventist, and what they teach is that if a lot of them think that if you don't go to if you don't keep the Sabbath, if you don't rest on Saturday, that it affects your eternal salvation. Okay, that's a lie as well. Okay, that's not true. God does not. You do not face the fire or the lake of fire if you don't go to church on Saturday. Or even rest on Saturday. The moral of it, the basis of the 7 system is that God rests on the Sabbath. Therefore, Saturday, if you're going to take a day off of work or focus on other matters, you should do it on a Saturday. It should be from Friday night when the sun sets to when the sun sets on Saturday evening. That is the best time to rest, energetically, because that's when God is resting. Okay? That's all it means. You're not going to go to hell, if anything like that. The spirit of the law is that you should rest. Okay? You should take a day out of your week. Okay? And you should be doing this. If it's a Monday, that's fine, but it is most restful. This is the truth. It is the most restful. I understand that you may think I'm full of shit, or this is like strangely esoteric or something, but my guidance is actually that it is energetically the most restful if you actually rest at that time period on Saturday, from Friday night to Saturday night. Preferably, if you can schedule your work week like that, that should be the time that you rest or focus on other matters besides work. Okay? And that's the basis of this Hebrew religion. But it's not that you're a bad person or you're going to go to hell or affects your eternal salvation or anything like that if you don't rest on the Sabbath. Just that you should rest on the Sabbath because that's the most restful day. And it's like the most efficient and, stuff like that. The law was originally written because it helped the Jewish people were slaves, and if they worked every day of the week, they would, they would basically die because we don't live in those kind of conditions anymore, right? We don't have to take a day off of work because we're going to die if we don't, because we're working so hard. But, understand the spirit of the law. Okay? That's all I ask. So, and there'll be some other things like some of the kosher laws regarding food are actually pretty important. So we don't like pork, okay? This is another thing. It's like people take everything to extreme. If you eat pork, it's not going to affect your eternal salvation. You're not a bad person if you eat pork. But energetically, the truth is, just like you should rest on Saturday, it's better if you don't eat pork. It's best if you eat chicken or lamb. Lamb is a much more powerful healing food compared to pork. Pork is not a clean meat. It has parasitic problems, and energetically, it's not as healing and good for your body. That's the truth. Okay? You're not going to go to hell if you eat pork. Other kosher laws, like not eating certain seafoods and stuff like that, are also important. Okay? The other ones aren't as important. Like, I think they have like weird laws like everything should be blessed by a rabbi, or you have to kill the animal in a certain way. Killing the animal in a certain way is somewhat important, but they're not as important as basically not eating pork and not eating certain seafood. So the kosher laws are more important than you may think. Okay? And again, you're not going to go to hell if you eat pork or anything like that. It's ridiculous. Okay? But it will help you if you follow these rules in your development. And that's what Hebrew is about. Hebrew is more like a universal curriculum to move you forward in your development. That's what it is more than anything. It's important that you realize that. Okay, kosher laws. What's next? So this is kind of a fad that people are against, but my guidance is that it is important, and that is circumcision. Okay? So we actually like circumcision, and the Hebrew, this sort of new religion, will recognize the importance of circumcision. So circumcision has several effects. One of it is it reduces, basically reduces the chance of infection in the area, because where the foreskin is, it builds up bacteria and stuff like that. That's one beneficial cause of circumcision. The other one is it actually, because the tip is exposed to its environment, sex. So you have to understand that people are right. So the new thing is that people are against circumcision because they say it mutilates the child and it makes sex not feel as good and stuff like that. And that's actually true. It does. So when the tip is exposed to the environment more, it makes men less sensitive to sex. But that's actually a good thing, because men shouldn't be sexually orientated. Men should be orientated towards God, okay? And so the fact that the tip is exposed instead of the foreskin being there, and they're less sexually aroused all the time, that means that men are, like I said, are less sexually aroused all the time. They're less aroused by women, and they're more God orientated. That's actually a good thing, okay? Despite what our sexual society says, that's actually a good thing, okay? Also, more esoteric, this seems weird, but it's true, my guidance is that it's true, is that when a baby boy is circumcised, it actually is a sign of his covenant with God. So women, they bleed every month, and this is a sign of their covenant with God. Men don't have this sort of rite of passage. Circumcision almost serves as a rite of passage for little boys, and that it's a sign of their covenant with God, the fact that they bled. Okay. And my guidance is that, for what I've read, is that the Jewish tradition actually says that baby boys should be circumcised on the eighth day of their. So they should be born, and then 8 days after that they should be circumcised, and they'll actually bleed less, even though it sounds strange. It's more esoteric, but it seems to be the truth. Okay. I know many of you will hate me for saying this, and they'll say, "Oh, but that's just mutilating the child," and stuff like that. Not necessarily. Okay, and I think this is the truth. Okay, it is. All right. So we got pushing down exercise. The 7 system is very important. Kosher laws, circumcision. So another basis will be the 10 Commandments. I guess I'll write that one down. 10 Commandments. Those are a basis of it. Including a couple others, I think, will be added, actually. So, like, thou shalt not rape will be added. Okay, it doesn't mention that in the 10 Commandments, but it's very powerful. Okay, thou shalt not rape. In fact, I think that if a man is found guilty of raping a woman, I think he should be put to death. You know, one of the strengths of the Jewish culture was that they actually would put men that were found guilty of rape, they would actually put them to death in biblical times. And this gave strength to the Jewish culture, because it was one of the first cultures where women were encouraged in the sciences and had equal access to stuff, and it really discouraged rape. It seems strange, but even circumcision reduces rape, because the men are less sexually aroused, and men that are circumcised rape less. And that sounds strange, I know, but it's true. Okay. You can actually look at statistics, and statistics will prove that circumcised men rape less. Okay, the numbers don't lie. Even though the truth doesn't feel good, the truth is strange, it doesn't feel good sometimes, but the truth is the truth. And you better accept it, right? And you better search for it. And if you don't accept it, it'll lead to your suffering. Okay, so 10 Commandments, very important, plus, don't rape. That's going to be another important one. And, like I said, this will be the basis. This isn't really part of it, but I'll write this down, is that the Lord's Prayer is actually one of the most powerful prayers you can do. So some prayers are more powerful than others, okay? And this is actually the most powerful form of prayer. So like we were talking earlier about how many religions have traditions and stuff like that that waste a lot of time. They're not really very powerful today. This is actually, the pushing down exercise is a type of prayer. And it's actually the most powerful form of prayer you could do, because it's not hollow and empty. It's not just words, it's action. You're taking action when you bring truth into your body, okay? But the Lord's Prayer is kind of a tenet, because it's also very powerful, okay? The reason why the Lord's Prayer is because it's similar to the pushing down exercise, which gives it power, in that it's thy will be done, okay? The Lord's Prayer doesn't ask for anything, okay? So many people are asking for things. You know, they ask me for free things. They ask, you know, other people that they want things from. They ask God for things. Much more powerful prayer is, instead of asking for specific things, it's thy will be done. When you're doing this, you shouldn't be asking anything of the Father energy. You're actually letting the Father energy into your body and saying, use me as you may. Okay? Thy will be done. Okay? And that is the most powerful prayer there is, because you become an empty vessel from which the Holy Spirit can flow through. Okay? And it's letting go of the ego too, right? Because you're not attached to the outcome. You're the Lord's vessel, and however He wants to use you, however the Holy Spirit wants to use you, that's what you're going to do. Okay? Now, in the beginning, that's harder. It's okay to, I think, in the earlier stages of your development, to ask for things, because it kind of helps, because we're ego-driven creatures, especially in the beginning, and you know, it can help you to ask for things. You know what I mean? Especially if you really need things in your life. And but as you progress, it becomes more powerful. You will realize to just say, "Thy will be done." Okay, and don't ask for. It'll become more powerful if you don't ask for anything when you do this, because you'll be given what you need at the time to, you know, learn the lesson. Okay, and this, you have to understand, is also truth, is that reincarnation is real. Probably didn't expect that one, huh? Reincarnation? What are you talking about? What in reincarnation? So, before you came to planet Earth, into your spacesuit body, you were a soul, and you went through planning, and then you decided, you chose your parents, you chose the country you were born in, you chose your socioeconomic path, you know, where you socioeconomic status. You chose all these things before you were born, because your soul, along with its guides, went through the process, what your soul needs to learn, and then you chose this body. I chose this body, I chose my parents, I chose everything. In order to learn certain lessons, because your soul is on a path towards higher development, and your soul actually needs to learn lessons. So your soul, when your body dies, it goes back to the higher place, and you go through the same cycle again. And then your guides and your everything, your masters, kind of go over with your soul what you learned, what you didn't learn, and then you know, a while passes. And then you come back, not necessarily to planet Earth, but you inhabit a new body, and then you have to learn the other lessons. And this cycle repeats over and over again as the soul goes on its higher path. Okay? So life is really just about, life is a very, very short time for your soul here on planet Earth. And it's about, you came here to learn certain lessons. And so you better learn the lesson, or else you're just going to have to come back and do it again, right? You might as well learn the lesson. You might as well do all these things to help your development and help learn the lesson. Or you're just going to have to learn the lesson in a future life, all right? And hopefully you'll learn it then. You know what I mean? That's actually a powerful thing you have to realize, is that, so like the death penalty isn't as bad as you think it is, because the soul goes on. Sometimes the body is shattered and broken, and it's best to push reset, basically, because the soul didn't learn its lesson. You push reset, and the soul goes on, and it'll come back to another planet. Not necessarily Earth, and not necessarily human body, but it'll come back to physical reality to learn its lesson that it didn't learn. Okay, so that's, you know, so death is not that bad. Okay, death is just something we all have to go through. Okay, our shells just die. The soul doesn't die. Okay, anything else I can think of? I think that's enough for this video. So, anyways, this will be a sort of a new, in synopsis, this will be kind of a new religion that comes to planet Earth. My guidance is it's just called Hebrew. It might be easier if we called it like New Hebrew or something like that. These are the basic tenets. And yeah, I hope I didn't offend anyone too much. You know, I hope I don't come off as arrogant, you know. Sometimes I'm afraid that I do that, but I must speak the truth. Or, you know, speak my truth. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. You know, maybe discuss it down below. And incorporate some of these things into your life. Okay? Alright, see you guys later.